Merry Christmas, or late Christmas, depending on when this comes out. I wanted to have this video out by Christmas, but if it's not, it's because I decided halfway through the editing process that this video was an incoherent mess that it failed to get the point that I wanted to make across, and that I wasn't going to put out shit just because of time restraints. So, I decided to rewrite everything a second time. Yeah, hear that? You suck. Obviously, this video was harder to write than the Ruby videos were because I've never actually been completely sure how to do a video on something I like, because I've gotten so used to shitting on bad things I don't like. But here I am, and if the Brony guy can make a Ponyo video, so can I. Plus, I don't have the time to think of another idea for a video, so I guess you'll never know if you don't try. Polygon has called the film a masterpiece and stated that it's one of Miyazaki's lesser works, for which they can fuck off back to the deepest pits of hell from whence they came. If you're at all familiar with who I am and you haven't yet inferred or at least considered the possibility that I like this movie, you haven't been paying attention. And if you're not, yes, the monkey is my friend. I'll start with how the movie looks. It's no surprise to anybody who's seen a Ghibli movie before that Ghibli movies usually look really good, but I'd even go as far as to say that Ponyo is the best looking Ghibli movie I've seen. What the fuck?
Have you seen them all?
No. How'd you get here?
I mean, okay, well, I'm your friend. I'm just checking up on you. That and your front door was unlocked.
My front door was unlocked?
Well, when I kicked it in, it became unlocked.
I guess. Is there one you consider to be better than Ponyo?
Well, personally, I think Spirited Away is pretty good.
I haven't seen Spirited Away.
My point exactly.
Okay.
Bitch ass.
Now, I'm not going to pretend like I know how or why color works, but however it does, it works extraordinarily well here. This movie looks fucking beautiful. I'd best describe it as extremely vibrant, though not vibrant to the point of crossing the line into being among the likes of the profoundly shit color palette of Ghostbusters 2016. I've also always loved the way characters and animated objects in Ghibli movies look relatively simple compared with the backgrounds, which also look fantastic. It makes them pop out in a way that's noticeable and makes sure you know they're there, but it's not pronounced enough to end up seeming jarring. What I love so much about Ponyo's art style and color palette is just how unique it actually is. I've never seen another anime or piece of animation in general that looks quite like this, which proves to be a breath of fresh air because a lot of anime made after, let's say, 2014 have tended to look really similar, to the point where I'd say a lot of them even blend together. A lot of them seem to be trying really hard to look more modern and sleek than their counterparts, and while there are some like Kimetsu no Yaiba and Megalobox that do end up succeeding in looking visually distinct, the majority all end up looking similar. I'd even say bland. Keep in mind that's not really that big a problem, since at least in my opinion visuals don't matter as much as writing and storytelling do in terms of trying to judge quality in a piece of media. Many anime I consider to be the best out there have art styles that really aren't that distinct or interesting, and their quality mainly comes from their writing, storytelling, comedy. I could go on. And that's not to say Ponyo's not well written. It's most definitely not a paragon of complex storytelling, but it never needed to be. It's really just a story about two kids hanging out, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, its simplicity is sort of a breath of fresh air. I think that's part of what, for me, puts it above all the other Ghibli movies I've seen, and other anime in general, bar Akira. It's just such a fun fucking movie, dude. There's a sense of adventurous, chaotic energy to it that it never once settles down from, that I don't think I've seen in any movie or anime before or after. The scene where Ponyo's running on the fish while Sosuke's mom is pulling off superhuman feats of car is a perfect example of this. As a result of Ponyo using Fujimoto's potions, the ocean is in the process of swallowing the majority of land on the planet, and the movie doesn't treat it like it's at all a negative thing. In fact, Ponyo coming back to land to hang out with Sosuke is treated like a good thing, as far as she's concerned it is, and the morning after isn't treated like the post-fucking apocalypse it very well could have been treated as. Instead, it feels like an adventure. Whatever environmental themes it may or may not have, let it be said that it never lets an underlying message drag it down from the chaotic, childlike fun that it manages to achieve the whole time. That chaotic, childlike fun is what fuels the movie, and it works perfectly. Additionally, we're gonna get a little bit mechanical here. Nobody here feels wasted or like they don't have a place in the story. Every character here serves a purpose, even if they don't get much screen time like Sosuke's dad. There's a relatively small amount of characters, 6, maybe 9 if you're being generous, but that never hurts the story by making it seem empty or thin. This can be directly contrasted with Ruby, a show with an enormous cast of characters and with a bloated, claustrophobic, and inconsistent story where none of the characters feel like they really matter. I believe that Ponyo is the best thing to come out of the anime industry in the modern era. My definition of modern being anything that came after 16:9 resolution became somewhat widespread, which would put late 2000s material like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Gurren Lagann, and Ponyo in that bubble as well. I've been told that definition is applying it really liberally, but to be honest, in the last 5 years or so, good anime have been so few and far between that including the late 2000s and early 2010s is pretty much doing modern anime a gigantic favor. That being said, though, there's just something about this movie that I don't think anything made after has been able to get. Is Ponyo my favorite movie? No. That goes to Akira, a film that's pretty much the polar fucking opposite, but I'll talk more about that if I ever make a video about it. It is my favorite Ghibli movie, though, and in my opinion the best I've seen, the closest contender being Kiki's Delivery Service, which is also fantastic, but I think just falls short of Ponyo due to its ending being a little bit abrupt and weird and leaving a few things untied. Like, for example, it's never actually made clear whether Kiki ever regained her ability to talk to Gigi, save for in like a Blu-ray English dub somewhere where it said in a post-credit scene that she did, but it's never clarified in the original. Nothing devastating by a long shot, but a loose end nonetheless, and a problem Ponyo doesn't have. Then again, I haven't seen Spirited Away. Maybe I'm extremely delusional. Maybe I'm biased towards Miyazaki films, maybe heaping piles of cringe, like Eromanga Sensei and Sword Art Online 2 have turned me off from modern anime, and made me biased towards older stuff. It is entirely possible, and I am completely fine with that. Watch Ponyo. What do you mean my doctorate in verbal-ace beatboxology is worthless? You're just salty. You just don't understand art. I've never prosecuted you over the strange shit you do. You're literally a ghost. You came into my house when I was sleeping, punched me in the face, threw a typewriter at me, and while dabbing, told me that my videos sucked and that I should have you ghostwriting for me. I think you're just too much of a pussy to 1v1 me in Mario Super Sluggers. You think that's weird? How about when I tell people I ride around in a giant cube on wheels making YouTube videos with a supernatural typewriter monkey that only I and like 3 other people can see? Where did this thing even come from? How do we have internet in here? You know what? Forget I asked.